Okay, so this is going to be our first actual class in Comptia A plus certification test preparation. So I would say that first of all, if you are already familiar with computer, the basic terms of computer, you should skip these couple of videos. These are only videos for those guys who are starting their career from the computer and they know nothing about computers. So these videos targeting those guys who want to learn these things from the scratch. So without further ado, let's get to know what is a computer. So you might be familiar with this thing, the computer. We are listening this word everywhere we go. So what actually is a computer? So there are some things that you need to know from the perspective of Comptia A plus. Computer is what? Computer is an electronic device. Now, what is an electronic device? Electronic device is basically a device that uses semiconductors. Now, this might be a little bit this might be a little bit relevant to physics. Now, what is a semiconductor? There are three things that you would find relevant to this. There are conductors, then there are insulators. Conductors are those materials which can pass electricity to themselves. Insulators are those materials which cannot pass electricity from themselves, and in between them there lies another type of material which we call semiconductors. So the study of semiconductors in physics is known as electronics. So in computers, most of the components are what? Those are built from semiconductors. So that is why we call a computer an electronic device. So this is why we are calling our computer an electronic device. Why? Because it is made up of a lot of semiconductors, mostly silicon. You might have heard of this thing. This is an element in the periodic table of chemistry. So this is a semiconductor which is mostly used in computers. So that is why we call a computer electronic device. Now, what is the purpose of a computer? What does a computer do? So a computer is what? A computer is simply a device that processes user input. This means that if you have a computer here, what is the purpose of this computer? There must be a user who is going to deal with the computer. The user is asking something from the computer, or the user is giving some instruction to the computer, or asking the computer to do something. So the computer is going to do what? It is going to do processing on this instruction. So simply the computer is made for processing the user input. If user is giving some input to the computer needs to work on that specific input. So this means that it becomes a definition for our computer that computer is an electronic device that processes the input of the user. Simply anything that the user wants is shall to be done by the computer, right? So this is simply a computer. So based on the size of computer, there are some types of computer. You would have heard, you might have heard of these things. There are some supercomputers which are very large in size. They have a higher speed. Mostly they are very special purpose. These computers are used in companies like NASA, or if you have a weather forecasting company, or different countries have their nuclear power plants. They use these computers to store their large amount of data and to process their large amount of inputs or instructions. So these are the supercomputers. These are the largest in size. If you come a little bit lower in size and price and speed, you would find what? You would find mainframe computers. These are generally smaller than supercomputers. These are slower than supercomputers, and these are way too much cheaper than the supercomputers. Those are way too expensive, nothing that we can afford. So these are normally used in banks. These are normally used in factories and other companies like businesses. Mostly if you have used an ATM, then it means that you have used a mainframe computer, because ATM is also a mainframe computer. So I've tried to give some visual examples here too with these definitions so that you can understand um, more easily. So the next term we have is personal computers. So these are the computers that we are using in our general life. So this means that personal computer is what? A computer that is made for only one person. That computer will be used for personal purpose, individual purpose. So these are the computers that are smallest devices in size. They are the slowest devices. These are the cheapest devices, our computers, desktop computers, or laptops, or tablets, or mobile phones, smartwatches. All of these fall in the category of personal computers. Some people also call them microcomputers. So these are the basic types of computer that you would you would find anywhere in the world. So the next thing is there are some components of the computer. So in this class we are going to be studying the software components. In the next class we are going to start the hardware components, because in Comptia A plus most of the focus is on hardware, so we need to study the hardware very comprehensively. Now what is software? Software is the non-tangible part of a computer. I've written there non-touchable, which means that your software is what? Non-tangible. It means that you can't touch your software. Simply anything inside your computer that you can see but not touch, that you can use but not touch, is what it is, a software. You might be familiar with the Facebook, Google Chrome, Mac operating system, Windows, and every app that you are using in your phone or in your computer. All of them are what? Those are softwares, right? Now there are two categories of software. Software can be system software or it can be application software. Now what is the purpose of system software? You can get it by the name of system software. System, these are those softwares that are used to control the whole system, or those the tasks of these softwares are relevant to the complete system. Now if you have a computer here, you need a software to control this whole computer, then that type of software is going to be called a system software. Generally our operating systems are what? These are system softwares. We are using Windows for our computers, we are using Mac OS for our Apple computers, we are using iOS for our Apple mobile phones, and we are using Android for our general mobile phones. Then we can also use Linux for our computers. So these all are examples of operating systems, which is an example of system software. Why? Because it is controlling the complete system, right? So the next type of software is an application software. So unlike a system software, the application software has some specific task, has some special task. It doesn't controls the whole system. This has nothing to do with the complete system. The computer will not be affected by the presence or the absence of this application software. So what is an application software? This is simply a software that performs some specific tasks. It has nothing to do with the system's performance or how the system is going to work without it or with corresponding to this. So all the applications like Facebook, WhatsApp, Google Chrome, Safari, or all the other applications that we use for specific purpose, all of them are what? All of them are application software. They are used to perform some specific task. Like MS Word, we are using MS Word to write some documents. We are using this for word processing. We are not using we are not using it to control the computer hardware or software, right? It is nothing to do with the system. So we call this software an application software. So these are some basic terms that you need to know if you are not familiar with the computer. So these are some terms that you would need to know, but the most important things that we are going to be discussing in our course is going to be the hardware. So we will discuss the hardware comprehensively in our classes, because I've seen in Comptia A plus the most focus is on these hardware. So for this class I think this is enough for you. You might have understood these things. If you haven't got anything from this one, you can mail us on our email, or if you have any question you can also post it on the comment box below. So I hope you got these things. Thank you.